Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another riveting episode of Bold TV, powered by Bold Heart Initiative. As usual, we come to you every Saturday by 10:30 a.m., having conversations about disability and its related issues. Today is no exemption. In fact, today is a special edition of the program because we are celebrating Independence Day. Yay! And our conversation is going to be around Nigerian independence. But before I introduce our topic for today, I have amazing bold hearts who are joining me to have the key and the crucial conversation that we're having for this episode. And as usual, I'm going to turn the microphone over to them and they are going to introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. I'm Barrister Mrs. Oreva Ofe Ikime. I am a lawyer and a health and fitness advocate. I am based in Delta State and I have polio in one leg. Welcome, everyone.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Abiose Falade. I'm the executive director, Angel Wings Global Freedom Foundation. I am an author of an awesome book called Nimi the Warrior Girl. Glad to be here. Thank you. I use a wheelchair and I live in Ibadan. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Afia Ometum. I'm based in Uyo, medical laboratory scientist, a member of Bold Hearts Initiative, board member of Fair Care Foundation, and I use a wheelchair from spinal cord injury. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's another beautiful Saturday, like I always say, in the life of mankind. My name is Oluwatomi. I'm really interested and broadcast advocate. I'm also passionate about sexual and reproductive health for women and girls, especially with disability. Good to hear. Thank you.
Good morning. I remain Osaki Teresa George. I reside in Port Harcourt, but currently I'm in Lagos. A member of Bold Heart Initiative, Work Fair Care Foundation, and many other things. I'm a polio warrior. I use Scratcher to be here.
So to have the conversation today, I have Oreva all the way from Delta State. I have Abiose in Ibadan. I have Afyong in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. I have Oluwatomi who is in Abeokuta. And myself and Osaki based in Port Harcourt, even though Osaki is reaching us from Lagos. So welcome to another episode of Bold TV. If you want to partner with us, we are saying welcome to financial partners, resource persons, key informats to different topics, ladies with disabilities who are advocates and are interested in awareness raising on disability and disability issues. So please reach any of the co-hosts of this program or write to us on boldheartsnetwork.info@gmail.com and we will respond to you on how you can be a partner on this program. And we want to really thank all our online participants who are always there. It's always good to get your feedback when the conversations are done, even ongoing. And we ask you to please feel free to drop your comments, drop your suggestions, drop your own contribution, and like and share on our YouTube and Facebook page. All right, like I said, our topic today is focused and is centered around Nigerian independence. And our topic today is Nigeria today and disability rights. Nigeria today and disability rights. But before I jump into introducing our topic and beginning to have the conversation by asking the ladies key questions, as true Nigerians in celebration of our independence, 62 years is not beans. We are now elders, but we have been elders for a while. So in commemoration of our independence, which comes every 1st October, which will play the national anthem. That was Nigeria's national anthem. If I asked you to sing the verse 2, would you know it? Well, at the end of this program, all the ladies and I, we're going to say the pledge so that you know that we're also Nigerians. So ladies, if you don't know the pledge, you gotta remember the pledge. I'm just kidding. So back to our conversation for today. So today we are looking at the topic, Nigeria today and disability rights. By way of introduction, we all know that in the year 1960, on the 1st of October, Nigeria was declared an independent country, Nigeria. And 62 years, every 1st October, we mark and celebrate our Independence Day. There are different issues around the rights of persons, human rights. But key to our hearts and centered with our advocacy and our work in Bold Hearts Initiative is advocating for the rights of persons with disabilities, what we refer to as disability rights. So on the journey of disability rights movement in Nigeria, the journey was long, it was difficult. A lot of people in the past who are not even here today continue to advocate for something, a law that will protect the rights of persons with disabilities in Nigeria. After a lot of work, that law was signed in January of 2019. The Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act was signed into law on January 2019 by the current government. That law has many tenets, but the main focus is that it is a prohibition act that prohibits against the discrimination of persons with disabilities. It is important for us in the disability community because it is a legal document that protects our rights as persons with disabilities in Nigeria. But if you count from 2019 till 2022, you would see that that law has been in effect for 3 years now. So for a country who is 62 years of independence with a law protecting the rights of persons with disabilities that is prohibiting discrimination against them, 3 years, in the law, in the making. What we're going to do is to do a refresher speaking on the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act. So let's do a reminder or a refresher on some of the details. And really, for anyone who is out there who is interested in getting a copy, a detailed copy of the Prohibition Act, you can write to us on boldheartnetwork.info@gmail.com, and we will make the copy of this law available to you. Short versions, easy to read versions, will be made available on behalf of Fake Foundation, but that will be from next year.
Okay. The Discrimination Against Persons with Disability Prohibition Act highlighted in one area the issue of employment, where statistics have shown that persons with disability have twice the unemployment rates as their non-disabled counterparts. And the Act clearly states that nobody should be discriminated when it comes to employment on the basis of their disability. The penalties were detailed. Fines were detailed that could be paid, and even by institutions or organizations who discriminated against persons with disability. And then it went further to talk about organizations, both public, at least specifically public organizations, have leaving a 5% slot for persons, specifically for persons with disability, whenever employment is ongoing. So that is one of that's what the Act speaks on when we talk about employment. But I'm sure we'll discuss whether these things have been implemented or not.
All right, thank you, Afyong. So Afyong just spoke to part 6 of the Disability, the Prohibition Act, we talked about opportunity for employment and participation in politics and public office. So she spoke specifically to the area which talks about opportunity for employment, and the Act states that persons with disability have equal rights to work. They also have opportunity to employment, and it is stipulated in the Act that if a public entity is calling for a vacancy, the 5% of the opportunity should be made available to persons with disabilities when they are making that call for employment.
There's a part in the Act that talks about public buildings being inclusive in nature. Can you hear me clearly? Okay. To be inclusive in nature, what does this mean? This means that every public building should have either ramps or lifts to help persons with disability to access the building whenever and however they want. Thank you.
All right. So Biosa is speaking to part 2 of the Act, and that is speaking about accessibility of physical structures. So that part of the law speaks to, number one, the right of access to public premises. And what is a public premise? If you are a business that's a private entity or a public office that offers a public service, that is, you're offering a service that is to serve the public, then that is a public premise. So it speaks to the right of access to public premises. It also talks about accessibility aids in public buildings. So let me give an example. So you go to a shopping mall that is really big. It is the right of persons with disabilities who maybe otherwise will use crutches to be able to have accessibility aids, like you provide scooters, you provide wheelchairs within that large premise for them to be able to move about. It also speaks to accessibility to roads, sidewalks, and special facilities. Special facilities refers to ramps, elevators, or these ramps that wrap around buildings, or ramps within buildings. So it speaks to that, among other things. And still in that, it talks about building plans. And this is one aspect that I really want to mention, because people are still building without considering that their building should be accessible to persons with disabilities. And another key aspect of that portion is what we call the transitory period. That period is what we refer to as a time of adjustment, and it is only specific to accessibility and not the entirety of the law. And it gives a 5-year period for buildings, old buildings, already built structures, to begin to lay out plans and do the needful to be accessible. I hope this helps somebody.
Yes, thank you. I really want to talk about Section 24 of the Act that provides that public hospitals special communication for people with communication disabilities. That, first of all, entails that they would have to learn these special communication skills. And I can tell you for free that I don't think there's any place where people learn, sign language. It's not there. So it's a right for people with communication disabilities to be able to have access to what they need to know. Hello? Do you hear me?
We're frozen for a bit, so just...
are you serious? Okay. Yes,
Yes.
I was talking about the communication skills that people with communication disabilities need, and the law is providing, or the law provides or stipulates that they should provide for people with communication disabilities. And even though it's provided, I don't think that there is any place where this health officials now or doctors are specifically trained to be able to communicate with people with hearing or communication. So though the law provides for it, in effect, it's not being practiced. And so this is an area we need to highlight. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So Rema is speaking to Part 5, Article 24, yeah, of the law, that inclusive healthcare is the right of persons with disabilities.
Thank you very much. I'll talk about Part 3, road transportation. Access to goods and services and facilities, accessibility of vehicles where we can enter the vehicle, the persons with disabilities, and if you are going out with person with disability is going out with you, there should be a space allocated to that person. That doesn't have to queue up or drag buses or taxis with every other person. Thank you.
Talking about access to qualitative education for persons with disabilities, including children with disabilities. So that's also like a prelude to having inclusive schools, both public and private, where persons with disabilities who deserve or desire formal knowledge can walk in without fear of discrimination, stereotyping, and stigmatization.
Tomiti is speaking to still Part 5 that talks about, number one, the right to education, right to free education, and talking about inclusiveness of education, which is both in private and public institutions or establishments. So thank you for that. So ladies, we spoke to different aspects, and just to mention that to people who may be listening out there, that there are so many others, and we will not go through all of them because that's a whole episode by itself. So one of the provisions of the Act is a National Commission for Persons with Disabilities. And this was established, and the Executive Secretary, everybody that's needed to be there in Abuja, has been established. What are some of its responsibilities? And 3 years into the Act, what are some of the work that has been done by the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities based currently in Abuja?
The National Commission is, tasked with the responsibility of ensuring that, I think one of the things that is expected of them is ensuring that there's a database for persons with disabilities, so that there can be accountability, so that there can be proper inclusion, and ensuring more integration, especially when it comes to policy making. And then, so far, I think the most prominent thing recently that I've noticed they have done is the creation of a hotline for persons with disabilities that they can reach out to and, forward complaints or requests, to. And it's a fairly recent development, and so far I don't know how effective that has been. If persons with disabilities have actually been able to access, relevant personnel and get their demands across. But I think it has taken quite a while for the Commission to actually, begin to do some of the things that were expected of them. It has taken a while since the inception of the law. I think this is the first time they really, put it out there. They really come forward to implement, take action towards ensuring that persons with disability are included. But the issue of the database is still pending. I don't think we have a comprehensive database yet of persons with disabilities in the country. And that is still a problem because it will hinder any plans for inclusiveness.
All right. Thank you, Afyong. So what I know about the Commission, because, when things happen at national level, for a lot of times, for those of us in the other states, there's this disassociation. Not disassociation. What's the word? There's this. It feels far. Yeah. There's this farness. It feels very far. It feels like it's in the news. So that's what's currently happening. However, I can tell you that for a fact that one of the things that the office or the commission set out to do was to establish relationships. Understanding that one of the key things, apart from inclusion, that we advocate for as disability advocates is disability streaming. So it was important for the commission to go from parastatal to parastatal, speaking to different MDAs on what their role or what their stake is when it comes to disability, when it comes to inclusion, when it comes to all that. And I know that that had been the focus for a very long time of the commission, establishing that relationship with so many MDAs, all based there in Abuja. So having done that, or that is still ongoing, because I read the news and I see that that had been their focus for a long time. Just like Afyong said, recently there was now an attempt to make a connect with the persons with disabilities, of whom the commission was made for, which is the establishment of the toll, that's the line. And we're going to make that line available. One of the functions of the commission is to take on complaints. So I believe that in their bid to be more accessible, they are doing that. They also is an app for the commission. So we'll try to make at least the number, you'll see it on our screen right there. So feel free to call in and lay any complaints that you may have as regards disability. So let's come down to our respective states. For everyone who knows how the law works, that is a national law. It is expected that this law is therefore domesticated at state level. So the expectation at state level is that all states will have a Disability Act. All states will have a Disability Commission as well. So let me now go state by state. All of us are here representing one state or the other. And this question is simple. How far in your state? What's happening with your state laws? What's happening? What's happening in Akwa Ibom State?
Well, some years ago, I think during the first tenure of this current administration, or the previous, during the tenure of the previous administration, some plans were made. At the House of Assembly, they had drawn up a draft of the law that was to be an act to be established, Disability Rights Act. And, I actually have a copy of that draft. As at the last time I made inquiries, which was, I think, sometime last year, they had said they would schedule time for a public hearing. But, since then, somehow, it seems like it has fallen through the cracks because I've not heard any progress regarding that. So I think I don't think as of now Akwa Ibom State has a Disability Rights Act. I don't think so. But I will still make inquiries to find out what the progress is and how far they've gone. If it's still viable or if it has been put on the back burner.
But from all the people that I talk to, all the executives or JONAP that I speak to most of the time, I don't think there's a disability law for your state as per a viable one that really works for your state. There are some, I don't think there is one.
Okay, so for Ogun State, fortunately in 2017, between 2016 and 2018, I was part of a coalition that moved for the signing of that disability bill. And I had the opportunity to talk to the then governor, Ibikunle Amosun. I asked him about the signing because it was passed, it went for public hearing and all of those things. And the governor told me, at a public function that he has signed that bill into law. Now, here is the problem. Bill we will not see till date. The Ministry of Justice have refused to give us a copy. They claim that they don't know what happened to the bill or to the law. So it's a really hilarious one for Ogun State because a governor claims to have signed the bill into law. However, we cannot find a copy. Hopefully, in the next dispensation. Let me put it that way, because I mean, nobody wants to attend to us right now. So we are hoping that beginning the next dispensation, we can start the move all over it. They think that's what it will take.
So for the states who are at the stage where they're not sure where the law is or whether it was signed or not, because if it was signed, then it should be available, because it should have been gazetted, or it should be a white paper somewhere. So you may want to go on number one, a fact-finding mission, and this would speak to the unity and the strength and the technical ability of persons with disabilities in that state. So you may need to do a fact-finding mission, and if not, then you need to do a whole process of lobbying, getting a sponsor, and be quick to ensure that you push. A lot of lobbying has happened to push for laws to happen. Okay, however, Delta states.
Okay, last I checked, there was a lobbying, there was a huge clamor for the law to, there was a bill, and then there was a huge clamor for it to be assented to, but so far, it hasn't been signed into law. So for now, I don't think there's any, Delta State does not have that law.
For River State, a law, an act was signed into, that's a bill was signed into law in 2013. That's what I also heard. So the workings of that law, it has remained a paper inside somebody's shelf. That's the conclusion of the matter. So yes, there's a law, but is it functional? The answer is absolutely no. I don't even have a copy myself. All right, so Tommy, tell us about Lagos State.
Lagos is one state that, let us give it to them. I think they really go by that slogan, Center of Excellence. So Lagos is one state that not just has a law. In fact, Lagos has that law before the federal government did theirs. They had the Lagos State Special People's Law. They also have an office, that's the Lagos State Disability Office for Disability Affairs. And trust me, it's been moving. It's been moving. As a matter of fact, even when it comes to their government-owned transportation, you find out that persons with disabilities are considered first. You want to get into the BRT, the blue or red buses. If somebody is sitting on that chair that is meant for persons with disabilities, they will ask you to stand up. That the owner is here. So, in fact, there was a time I got into one of their buses and they had a screen reader calling out bus stops. And so I think Lagos is doing so much more. In fact, they recently released an health insurance scheme for persons with disabilities. So I think they are doing so much to ensure that the law is working.
All right. So, and so that brings us to that question, wrapping it up. Yes, there are quite a number of states who are doing well. One is Lagos State. Another one is Plateau. Plateau also has an act and also has a commission. So these are some states. There are other states. Speaking to the challenges, because speaking about disability acts at state level, and seeing that so many states have not still been able to get something to protect the rights of persons with disabilities, I would like to ask the ladies in the house, what are some of the greatest challenges to advancing disability rights in Nigeria today? What are some of the greatest challenges to advancing disability rights in a Nigeria that is 62 years today?
One of the biggest challenges is the awareness of this discrimination act, because it's still not open. It's as in the training or workshop of that kind for persons with disability should know their rights and know the things that are available for them, so that whenever this thing comes to your face, you know how to defend and know how to talk about it. Thank you.
One of the challenges would be poor representation. We don't have, there aren't enough, representatives at the different tiers of government for persons, the issues regarding persons with disabilities. Even, in the political space, because we know policy controls everything else. Once there are policies in place and you have people who are able to translate those policies into action, then we will see greater change. So I think poor representation is another issue. People who are non-disabled people cannot speak for those who have disabilities. It won't work because they don't know, like the saying goes, he who wears the shoes knows where it pinches. So those non-disabled persons cannot speak for persons with disability because they will never understand the unique challenges that persons with disabilities face.
Like Shiriaki said, nothing, we keep shouting nothing about us without us. But where we are not even able to push our agendas, by proper representation, what then happens? So speaking to what Osaki said, awareness raising on the current act, because excuse of the law is not, ignorance of the law is not an excuse. This is already a national law. It covers the whole of Nigeria, whether a state has the law or not. And then collaboration. You also spoke about collaboration. And that is persons without disabilities not wanting to do these things by themselves, but involving and engaging persons with disabilities in decision-making processes when it involves their rights.
Thank you, Freki. Well, as far as I think there's also being truthful about some things, the degree among persons with disability when it comes to this kind of thing. Some people are for it, some people are against it because they have different opinions on how things are to be run. And so it hinders the things, these commissions or these laws being passed through because everybody has a stake in what they want to take or what they don't want to take. And so this is one of the things that's hindering the passing of the laws in major states because some people are greedy enough not to want it to pass because then it may hinder them in what they want to do. Thank you very much.
All right. So Biosa is speaking to factions and the lack of unity in the disability community. It is true that, persons with disabilities sometimes we tend to want to act in silos. Everybody wants to bring their own and want to be the one to do it. But the truth is that we need to understand that there is strength in numbers and that it coming together, it's time for us to begin to come together. Because what are we really doing? We are advancing our rights, not a person's rights, but our rights as a collective. So one of the key things that we can do to advance our rights in state level, local government level, wherever community you find yourself, is strength in numbers, building a critical mass, banding together to advance rights, and putting the greater good ahead of personal interest.
Okay, thank you. For me, what I see that is a very huge challenge is the mindset of Nigerians. It's still unfriendly and dismissive. When they see somebody with disabilities, they just look away like, they just want to avoid it. And it goes a long way. If the mindset is not one that is even willing to help, then there is no way they can make anything like Afiong said. They don't feel it. They are not in our shoes. They don't feel it and they don't care. They are just dismissive. They want us locked away somewhere. And so I always advocate that at every point, in every committee, there should be somebody with a disability to be able to push our own agenda, so to say. So the challenge I am speaking to now is that of the unfriendliness and the dismissive nature that Nigerians still have to people with disability. Thank you.
Yes, all formed by negative stereotypes and misconceptions, grounded in cultural biases. A whole conversation on its own. Very sad. And you spoke about, this attitudinal barrier is one thing that is a challenge, because if you're not interested, you will not listen. If somebody with a disability comes and you're not keen, you won't listen. But the truth of the matter is that disability can happen to anybody at any time. I think that is maybe the message that will continue to tell them, that people like us did not know anything about disability until we found out that we had to move a bit differently. So don't dismiss issues around disability. So why are we adverse to promoting the right of a major minority? We are over 30 million, in fact, over 40 million as our last projection of persons with disabilities in Nigeria. So it's too large a number to dismiss. So attitudinal barrier is a challenge a big challenge to advancing disability rights?
I want to talk about lack of political will. Okay, so when it comes to policies, when it comes to laws in Nigeria, even in any part of the world, you also find that political commitment, political will to actually, do what you have written down is also another thing. We go to the United Nations to sign treaties, we sign pacts and all of those things. And then we go to these nations, we see how they treat their persons with disabilities as politicians, as, leaders. And then we come back here and we are very unwilling to reciprocate the same gestures. So I think it's only a lack of political will that will make anybody pretend to have signed a bill into law. I mean, why the pretense? I mean, of course, for instance, if you signed it into law, it's something that will better the future. It's something that will better. You never can tell who becomes a person with disability around you in the nearest. So I feel that lack of political will from our politicians, from our leaders, from all tiers now, whether executive, legislature, or the judiciary, is also something to look out for.
So it speaks to the general lack of political will, and it happens a lot. When you think that people are not a main concern, this is what happens. But this is a democracy, and we're an independent nation, 62 years. There is nobody who is part of the citizenry who should be relegated to the background. We have rights. Disability rights are human rights and are not an option for any nation. So this brings me to one of the last series of questions. Today is our independence. And on disability rights, I'm going to ask you a twofold question. What is your deep concern with a 62-year-old nation where we currently are when it comes to disability rights, whether it's at national, whether it's at state level? What is your deep concern, and what would be your council recommendation or demand?
Okay, thank you, sir. Effectively, my deep concern is the fact that we're still in denial. We are still in denial of the reality that is before us. We, as people with disabilities, are intelligent, and we come with a wealth of experience. We have so much to offer, and it's only somebody in deep denial or people in deep denial that will refuse to accept what we are bringing to the table just because we work funnily or we are different in appearance to others. That's it. It's terrible. One, we are in deep denial. And secondly, we just don't want to look beyond the physical. Hope that it needs to change. Thank you.
So for me, I believe that the fear that is in the society needs to be curbed, because like Oreva says, we are all in deep denial. And this denial comes from fear. And if you're afraid, you will say no to whatever you see in front of you. You will say, God forbid, you will say it's not there. And if we can, like Oreva said, get on with the program and move on. But before we can get on with the program, I believe that we need to first educate people. People need to know what this thing is, what disability is all about. Each type of disability needs to be explained explicitly to those parents, to the society, to everybody that walks on the street. Because like Freki has said before, that disability happens to everyone. I always say this, that people say that disability happens, and some people say God forbid. But one thing people don't know is that disability is actually part of the circle of life. It is, you are born, you grow, along the line you have a disability. It is a necessity. It's a part of human life. There's no way you can escape it till the day you die. Nobody escapes it. Those people, when you have stories that talk about immortality is talking about people who avoid disability. It's a lie. Even an immortal person has a disability. He's immortal. He can't die. That's a disability. So therefore, we have to believe that this has to stop. We need to believe that as a person with disability, there's a reason for your disability. And we must educate everybody about that disability and the strength of that disability and what it happens. that's disability. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So we're moving this quickly. Osaki, I see you're back. Please speak to your deep concern and give your demand or recommendation.
My deep concern is still on what the point I made earlier on the awareness of the Disability Act, because that act is very necessary. As I went through today, I found out that there's also a right for persons to have free education and even have like solidarity payment or scholarship. I'm like, really? This is even there, and I feel it was like we should just do it. And that is even a right. So I think this right awareness should be known to all. Persons with disability, there should be workshop, there should be training. It should go as far and deeper than expected. So that should continuously till the awareness is enough. Thank you.
One of my deep concerns regards the attitude of persons with disabilities themselves. And these attitudes are often, buttressed by cultural and religious, biases. And it's really saddening to note that the very people who should actually be at the forefront of advocacy, at the forefront of sensitization, are the ones who are so unaware of what is available to them. You cannot fight for what you do not know is yours. You cannot fight for what you don't know is yours. Persons with disabilities, I see so many, and we just keep, entrenching those stereotypes. We are the ones who entrench those stereotypes by the way we present ourselves. On the WhatsApp group, I think, was it today, where you posted something, Frankie posted something about a program, and because it was paid, the only thing, someone could point out was that, the cost of it. This is an opportunity for personal development. Rather than look for, how can I access this? Even if you need help, but at least speak up. I'm interested. Is there any way I can, get help to help me do this? But rather, the person was busy ticking out everything that was wrong. And it all pointed to, oh, I can't do this. So, we make it seem as if it's the cost. Yes, cost of living for persons with disability is definitely higher than those who are not disabled. But it also requires that we'll be more intentional about how we, pursue and go after opportunities that are there, because nobody will hand it to you. That is a fact. Nobody will give it to you. I have paid for courses. I have, not just because I can afford it. Sometimes I can't, but I know that if I don't do this, then those doors that I need to open will not open. I need to push myself to a place whereby when I speak, people will listen. So if you don't develop yourself and put yourself out there, nobody will know that you exist. So, to the government, they can no longer continue turning a blind eye to a demographic such as this. We are too many to be ignored. We cannot be ignored anymore. The National Populations Commission has to start scheduling, even if they have to do it after the general census, do a disability census to ensure that is one way to make sure that this database we are trying to compile will be more comprehensive, so that how many disabled women do we have, how many disabled men, how many disabled children, so that you can target, create targeted interventions for each class, so that each of these people, we don't just lump them together and say, oh, let's do this for disabled people. We will have targeted interventions, be it education, employment, skill acquisition, whatever it is. And the census will be comprehensive, so that you take down, do interviews that can get information. That is my recommendation for them.
My first appeal will be to persons with disability. Now, as a person with disability, we can say nothing for us, nothing about us without us. But my Yoruba elders will say, let me say it in Yoruba so that I will make more meaning. Which interprets that when you want to share property that belongs to a family, They do not share that property in absentia for somebody. So if you are not there, they will split your own on top of their own. So, and that's why we are calling that as persons with disabilities, as women with disabilities, we should seek opportunities. You know, seek opportunities. If you can join political parties, please join. If that's what will make our voices heard in Abuja. If you can be a member of a political structure, please be. So that when they do this sharing or when they call for this opinion, somebody is somewhere right at where they need us and where it matters most. Now to the society, we talked about the accessibility window period earlier on. Now, I don't know what the National Orientation Agency is doing, but 5 years is just upon us. The law was signed in 2019. This is 2022. 3 years down the line, new structures are emerging without accessibility. I mean, and it goes a long way to, you know, show how ignorant a lot of us as Nigerians are of this law. And so the National Orientation Agency should stand up to its responsibility. The Ministry for Environment, Housing, they should stand up to their responsibility to ensure that at the expiration of the 5 years, you will not be carrying placards in front of their offices. Because I mean, it's going to get to that point when this 5 years expires and nothing is being done. And to the government, I would say that issues around disability has gone beyond charity. It has gone beyond give them rice, give them gari, give them semo, and that's all. It has gone beyond what can we do for your people? It's no longer your people, that's people, these people. No, it has gone beyond that. And so we must stop paying lip services. We talked about the elderly. All of us are praying to the elders. We are praying to go above 60. But tell me who is above the age of 60 and still has all their body parts, organs, functioning as it was functioning in their 20s or their 30s. That's to tell you that one way or the other, we are all susceptible to being a person with disability. Accident, of course. And so when these things happen and there are no provisions to cater for these community, it means that an elderly man, maybe in his 60s, even our president who is in his 80s right now, you know, would not be able to access those structures because they are not on ground in the first place. So we must all stand up and as stakeholders to see that we do not just talk about inclusion when we go to the United Nations. We do not just talk about inclusion when we are called at the EU or the AU or somewhere else, or we talk about development when UNESCO or UNICEF comes. We talk about it and we mean it. Thank you.
Awesome. For a moment there, I was thinking you would say the president is 80 years, so he's a person with disability. I would say I'm not there. So,
but he is, Frankie. He is.
I did not ask you. My hands are up. I did not ask you. Please, yourself. I did not ask you. I did not ask you. I am not there.
But speaking of disability, I recently saw a picture of IBB, and he was on a wheelchair, a motorized wheelchair. I don't know how old he is now.
Yeah. That leg injury for decades now.
Fear and tear of human nature. So it's life. These things will come at some point, whether they will admit it or not. So at least that is evidence. I've seen a picture. He's on a motorized wheelchair, and he obviously that's a disability. Something he never thought. He was a soldier, tough guy. But today, look where he is. So one way or another, we will all get there.
Yes, it's called life. So depending on when you get there, you better do the new things.
If it be you, that's the word. If it be you.
If it be you, exactly. All right, thank you, ladies. So thank you, ladies, to wrap this up. It's been an amazing conversation. Today, Nigeria is 62, and we are 3 years down the line when it comes to the signing of the Prohibition Act. Persons with disabilities are persons first, no matter how you say it, no matter how you want to think about it. And you being far from it doesn't mean that it is not something to be considered. We've said a lot, and I'm not going to say too much. The demands have been made by the ladies who are guests and co-hosts of this program. Today, we're hoping that you listen. I'm speaking to an online guest who is listening to us right here, that you do us a favor, like this and share this far. Many key personnel have been addressed directly, some indirectly, including you who is listening to me. You have been addressed. Your attitude towards persons with disabilities, if it is in a negative, should change. if you are a person who is a position, you have positional authority, you have positional leadership, you need to make it transformative for all persons that you serve. Anyone who is offering a public service, understand that the public is made up of a variety of persons, including persons with disabilities. Nigeria, you are 62. You are too old to not acknowledge the fact that your citizenry is dynamic and has many, many different persons, including persons with disabilities. I'm not going to say much. Bold TV will continue to be here to bring you conversations on disability and its related issues. And to wrap this up, if you are there, you want to partner with us, please feel free to reach out. We are here to do just that. It would be nice to even take this beyond where we are, even further, and that we can do with you. Something will come your way, same station, which is YouTube, our YouTube channel and our Facebook page, by 10:30 a.m. next week for another amazing topic, which you don't want to miss. Would like you to like, share, and comment. And like I said, we are not going until we say the pledge. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, honest,
to serve Nigeria with
all my strength, to defend her unity, and uphold her honor and glory. So help me God.
Amen.
Happy Independence! Happy Independence! Bye!